Welcome to the Principal Podcast, where we talk about how the best professional services firms grow. Whether you're looking to scale your firm or learn from the stories of founders and leaders who've done it, you're in the right place. Join us as we interview the best leaders in professional services. Let's get on with the show. Michael, welcome to the Principal Podcast. Happy to have you.
Happy to be here.
Let's jump straight into it. What's the story, Michael? What got you into the fantastic, yet maybe sometimes a bit stressful world of finance, capital advisory, and ultimately, building BlackRidge Co?
Yeah, well, I kind of got into this by default. I was friends with a lot of these private equity and venture capital founders and advisors, CFOs of banks, and I hung out with them socially. So essentially, they saw something in me to where they could utilize my personable skills, and started hiring me to make introductions and to do customer development and relationships. I did that when I worked at the Wynn and Encore in Las Vegas for billionaire Steve Wynn. I was a main point of contact for over 30 different billionaires, multiple companies such as Google, Facebook, Taiwan Semiconductor, Hill House Capital, ICBC, China, you name it. I was there, Warner Brothers, all of them.
I love that. And I guess, when you're surrounded by the right people, I guess things turn out all right for you. What's the problem that you help those people solve today? Like, what is it that you're helping them achieve exactly?
Well, I solve a problem where communication, not everybody wants to make the relationships. I make the relationship. I keep the relationship going. A lot of people are very business minded and not sociable. Even like Elon Musk, as you see, he's kind of an introvert. He just wants to be left alone. He only wants to talk to people when he has to. Where me, I reach out to these billionaires and these private equity people and invite them for cigars. I'll invite them to Mar-a-Lago. I'll invite them to a mansion party. More of like a sociable aspect, where a lot of these guys, they have wife and kids, and they're not going out. And there's a lot of, not all the private equity and venture people are like that, but there's a good like 50% of them that are like that. So I have to handle that sector, and that's a lot of that could bring a lot of value for these guys.
So what do you mean a lot of people don't want to build the relationships? And that's why they have you do it. What does that mean?
Well, they can't really put the time in, right? I mean, a lot of these guys, if you're going to do venture capital deals and private equity deals, you want to go have dinner with them, have cigars. I mean, a lot of these CEOs and these big executives, like Ken Griffin, like he'll have a dinner with you, if you get lucky, but you're going to get one dinner, where I could slowly build that relationship and, report back and say, hey, they're interested in doing this. I mean, think about it, one meeting, you could miss out on the $1 billion idea, right? It's just a formal meeting. It's to let them know if they like you. So I'll keep talking to them, and I'll maintain that relationship for these people. And, a lot of ideas and opportunities arise from that constant engagement.
So you're selling access, basically. It's like, hey, I can get in the rooms that you can't. Let me represent you against, obviously, a fee. Is that the idea?
Yeah, so companies retain me, and obviously I help them achieve their goals, but I also give them access. Like I said, I was at Mar-a-Lago with CZ, the founder of Binance, recently. I got to chop it up with him. I got his phone number, you know, just all this stuff, right? So like that's an example. I
Mm.
that John Ruiz's house, a billionaire, has $180 million house in Coral Gables. I get to go there all the time and network. And, a lot of people, you can't just get in there, right? You have to kind of know somebody or be on a list, or, I just know a lot of different things. And, it comes down to the super yachts, right? I have a lot of clients that have super yachts. A lot of people want to get on super yachts and network. And I have access to bring people onto those venues and kind of commingle and build that relationship through access.
So asking for a friend, how did you develop those relationships in the first place? Like what allows one to have easy access to the super yacht to the $180 million houses? How does one get there eventually?
Well, you have to be valuable to somebody of value. And I've been valuable in multiple aspects. I've introduced, founders of major corporations to their wives. I've
Hmm.
introduced to, their business partner in Japan, and they live in Paris, right? Like I have a worldly, global reach that I can connect people that may have never met in their life. And I have a niche for that. So I'm able to kind of master the art of communication with different worlds that would never merge into each other, which could create the most unique experiences and opportunities in business ventures possible.
Mm,
People come to me, I'm kind of like that wild card, right?
mm.
I'm not your traditional finance bro. I didn't go to Harvard or Stanford. I kind of just came from the school of hard knocks where, my business was to meet the ultra wealthy and make them like me.
Is there a particular, so obviously VCP, that's the world you evolve in. Is there a particular niche, vertical? The people that you do business with are the ones paying you to get that access and that advice, right? So who are those people who want the access to the people on the super yachts, on the, in the events and parties and dinners organized in $180 million houses? Like, who is the buyer of all this at the end of the day?
Technology groups. Most of my clients are technology groups. I lived in Silicon Valley for 4 years.
Mm,
I lunch at Google headquarters, in Mountain View. I know a lot of Googlers, like over 2,800 people from Google follow me on LinkedIn. I was the Google host when I was in casino marketing. So going back, this all started with me being in the casino business, where I was the guy they went to come and see and hang out with. So essentially, they all technology people, private equity people, movie stars, they would come to the casino, and I would be like their best friend for the weekend. And obviously, you have a great experience with somebody one weekend, and you're like, I like this guy. Like, I'm going to keep talking to him. And then you realize I'm smart and I could connect you with a lot of people. And then it evolves from there.
mm. How does one market and brand in a world like yours? How do you get in front of the technology companies and tell them I can get you access to this type of people that you're interested in? Like, what does brand and marketing look like for BlackRidge Co?
Well, going to the events, I just threw an event at Mar-a-Lago, the Hispanic Prosperity Gala, where I had, several of the world's wealthiest people there. And people refer me. They're like, "Oh, you got to meet Michael." I go by Powerballer on Instagram, and if you look at my Instagram, you'll see that I'm with the Jake Pauls, I'm with the Lonzo Ball, I'm with the CZ from Binance, I'm with the Michael Rubins. Like I'm just a known character in that world. But as of recently, I've been pretty much under the radar. Um, you know, for the last 15 years, private equity people, I would just work under them. And now with the rise of streaming and going live and everything, people want to hear how I got to do this. Because for the last 15 years, people have seen me out with Leonardo DiCaprio. People have seen me, at Paris Hilton's house, right, hanging out with her dad and her brother during Christmas time. And seen me at the Oscars, right? Seen me everywhere. And they're like, what's this guy's story, right? But now the internet has kind of forced me to come out and like, show the world like, hey, this is what I do and this is how I do it. And I'm the best at it because, it's a mastery. You got to master the art of communication and, kind of the gift of gab and being able to make friends with these people. It's not as easy now because so many people are doing it, right? A lot of these celebrities and wealthy people, you know, they're used to all these people now coming and asking for things. Back in my day, I just provided value. I didn't ask for anything, and that's why I became famous for this because I just brought so much value to so many people. People have made billions of dollars off of my connections. A ridiculous amount. I mean, there's connections out there that I find out years later and they didn't tell me that they made a fortune off of something I told them or somebody I connected them to. But that was kind of an error on my fault. I wasn't structured, right? I was just a super connected person, and I just thought everybody, was going to break me off when things got good. But I hear it all the time. Oh yeah, dude, I saw this woman with one of my billionaire clients in the south of France, and I'm like, how do you got? I introduced you guys, and they were like, oh yeah, thanks for that. I'm like, it's been 7 years, like you could, I didn't know this the whole time, but I made that introduction. So, so much of that, your name starts to be, recognized as kind of a legendary status of being a connector.
That does make a lot of sense. I wonder what competition looks like at this level. Like, because eventually you have more and more people getting connected, right? And at some point, another actor might want to be playing that role as well, being like, hey, I have access to those people. I can sell, no promises, but like at least you can get access by proxy through me. So I wonder what competition looks like. Walk me through how you close a deal, Michael. So how do we go from, hey, I have access to those people, you have a big tech company that might want to get a new investor, a new relationship, a new, brand whatsoever. How does one move from reputation and access to a closed deal? What does that look like? You're on mute, Michael. I cannot hear you. Test 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. You're good. That's the fun of the direct. That's what
Yeah.
happens.
All
Here we
right.
go. You're back.
All right. Good. Okay. So listen, I mean, I had a client yesterday try to get in touch with Temasek. Okay. Temasek is the Singapore Sovereign Wealth Fund. I know about 10 executives in there because I went to China with them. I have relationships. That is a several $100 billion entity. Even if you know somebody in there, they may never write you back or listen to you. So there's a lot of people that have.
You cut mid sentence again, Michael. I'm not too sure what happened. Can you hear me? I think a cable might be getting disconnected or something. Still not. Still cannot hear you.
You
We're
hear
gonna
me?
get
You
there.
hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
you're back.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Maybe I'm touching it.
No
Yeah.
worries.
So an example. So
It cut again. I'm not sure what happens. It's so bizarre. And maybe there is a forced contact or something.
hold
Do
on.
you
Can
want to
you
try
can you
and?
hear me now?
Yes,
Okay. I'm using my computer now. Can you hear me?
loud and clear,
Okay. Cool.
but I
Okay.
hear myself back. So use this one, and when I'll speak, if we can mute yours,
Yeah, that's
and you can
fine.
just unmute when you speak, we're gonna do it like this. So please go ahead. Closing.
Yeah, so closing a deal, like I had a company saying, "Hey, I need to get in touch with Temasek." Right? We've reached out to them several times. They won't respond. Temasek manages several $100 billion. I know about 8 executives in the company. I went to China with them when I met with ICBC. I went in Hong Kong. I have a relationship with them. They answer my emails. They look at my stuff, if I send them. So I tell a client, listen, I could give you the best chance possible that these people actually look at your stuff and see it. I never guarantee that they're going to invest because that comes with the diligence process. That comes with, if they like the founder, if your revenue's right. I'm not in control of that. I don't make the decisions for these companies. What I have is I have a good rapport with them. I have a good relationship with them. They like me. That's the first step, right?
Yeah.
So when I send emails to these billionaires, they're like, oh, something from Michael. What could this guy's super interesting? What could he be sending us today? And I think that's the guarantee. I guarantee all my clients, I'm going to introduce you to billionaires, private equity funds, VCs, family offices, and high net worth individuals. I guarantee that. What I don't guarantee is that they're going to invest in your company. So I charge a retainer for that, anywhere from $20,000 to $60,000 a month,
Mm-hmm.
and equity and stuff like that. And these companies will hire me for a year contract, and every other day I make an introduction to one of these groups. So, a lot of people, say, "Oh, I'll get it myself," and then they fail, right? They come back, a year later, "Hey, man, I want to pay your retainer because we ran out of options," right? They won't write us back. And then a lot of people just have seen me out with, CZ's worth $110 billion. I was at Mar-a-Lago with him, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, and we're at the table, and Brian Armstrong from Coinbase, we're at the table next to me. People recognize that, right? Like, that's not something you forget. So people have seen me out in real life. It's not just Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that helps a lot with credibility, right? You can't just
Yeah.
get into Mar-a-Lago. You have to be invited by a member or, stuff like that. So I have that access and whatever they need, right? Most people hire me to introduce them to get their A round or B round. And it's so much easier when I'm on your team. You don't have to make it, you don't have to reach out to investors. I do it for you.
So I'm a fan of an offer. So I'm a huge fan of Alex Hormozy. I don't know if that rings a bell. He's a big business influencer, and the way he framed offer expectations and delivery was like the lowest churn comes from the offers that promises the least. Meaning, hey, I guarantee that I'll get you in front of those people because that's what I do. But I don't guarantee any deals, capital raise, funding whatsoever. I just promise an introduction, which is a promise very easy to, live up to. Um, and therefore, people can hardly be disappointed afterwards because they are like, yeah, he promised me an introduction. He did it. I didn't get my money, and that's fine. How because 20 to 60K returners is not nothing right now. Obviously, when we're looking at multi-million dollars, deca millionaires, centimillionaires companies, this makes sense, right? How have you thought about this whole offer price range based on a promise of an introduction but never an ROI? How have you thought about this whole offer and how do you sell it? How does it work?
Well, I'm not selling a personal offer, changing for you.
Yeah.
I have just changed your life. So let's say things just go really good. I personally, for what, 20 to 60K a month, have just maybe made you a multi-billionaire if you do the right job. And I'm the tax write-off at that point, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So if you look at what you're getting, um, to even get an investment with one of these star-studded billionaire tech tycoons, and you get to get your press release where Peter Thiel backed my venture, and you get to run around town like you're King Tutankhamun. I made that happen, right? And you made that happen because obviously you had something so valuable that they liked it, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they didn't even like me. If they liked the product and they just open the email or open the text message and see it, you could get it. But they're never going to know about it if it's not coming through a window that's credible. I'm the window that's credible.
Yeah.
It's because they like me and they know I know other billionaires. I have 168 billionaires in my Rolodex. They all know, each one of those billionaires knows I know other billionaires, right? Because I invite them to other billionaire events. I told Ken Griffin when he had the M Fair, I was like, hey, I'm going to go with Steve Wynn. Could I invite, Jeffrey Katzenberg? And could I invite? So, and then I'll email Jeffrey Katzenberg and be like, hey, I'm going to Ken Griffin's house, for AM Fair. You want to come? So I do a lot of this, worldly communication within the billionaire community to where they all know that I'm in the circle. And if they're not already friends with them, nobody knows Tadashi and I. Barely anybody. He runs Uniqlo, right? He's the richest man in Japan. I know his son very well. I have them on speed dial. So I could go to any billionaire probably in the United States and they probably don't know him. So if they're doing something, I could introduce them and be like, hey, I'm going to go be with the Yanai family at the Breakers. You want to come? Even if they don't come, now they know who I'm with and where I'm at. So it increases the value because I use billionaires. I am actually the $1 billion connector because I connect actual billionaires. I'm not just connecting these lower tier or just startup companies with billionaires. Billionaires call me. I had one call me to try to get them in the Oscars party because they didn't have access. They wanted me to call, people in David Ellison's camp, because those are the only people that get it. So I do, I built that nonstop. And so that's why people know, like, if you hire me, you have a great chance, but no guarantee. I can't guarantee anything. I will guarantee I will do my job. That's it.
I like that. I have to ask, Michael, what's your number one challenge? What is the one nut that if you crack, you take the whole thing to the next level? What would that be for you?
Finding good founders. I've done a lot of good stuff for a lot of bad people, unfortunately. And, they've ruined investments, ruined relationships. The problem with me being that, that advisor and that, big push is that I do so much for these founders that it's life changing. But if they don't do the right thing, I look bad and they mess up and everybody loses. So, a part of me, wants to take over a company myself, because I'm like, I could just raise money, for if I had an AI company. I have a few companies looking at making me CEO because they're like, this guy could just, just do it and he could lead the pack. Because I won't take on anything unless you're paying me a lot of money, because I have to risk myself on the founder too. I have to hope that you don't take my investors' money. I have to hope that you run the company good, that you don't spend it on bullshit, right? So there's a lot on the back end, that I have to worry about, so that's my challenge. Is not, let's get past the retainer, right? What happens when my client actually, invests, gives you that $25 million A round, or invests that 100 million into your quant AI fund, and you mess it up? So that's a scary part of my business. And I've had issues before where, I do the right thing, my investor does the right thing, but the guy who paid me and the founder, his intentions are not good. And that comes with, risk too. So just because, I'm expensive and, I could bring the investor, I have to worry about you running a good company now, because my name's on the line. So, if I bring Peter Thiel, a founder that messed up after he invests $20 million, he's going to remember me as the guy that brought the guy who messed up. So that's my biggest problem. And that's a serious problem in this industry, is that several founders, I had a founder come to me, I'm not going to say his name, but his company was valued at like 9 billion. And, he got accused of some stuff, and now it's at 1 billion. And he's like, you're the only guy I could go to help me bring this back up. And I'm like, I'm reading articles about you, bro. And I don't care if you pay me 100,000 a month, 200,000 a month. Like, you are a risk to where you could ruin my reputation. Now, I like the company. I like the founder. He was very likable. I know why he got his company up to 8 billion valuation with all these investors, crazy investors. But it sunk, and, he's trying to climb back, and everybody's cut him off. And he knows I'm the only guy that can probably pull out a unicorn to get him back there. But I'm like, do I really want to put my name, behind it? Do I know this guy? No, I don't know him. I met him a few times, but does he really care about me and my family? Probably not. So it causes a challenge to work with people. I have to really vet them myself. So it's not as easy as a client coming to me and saying, I got your retainer, you're ready to go. Now I got to check you out, because now I'm going to really do my job, and they're going to look at me. So that's my biggest problem.
It's funny because it almost sounds like access to those billionaires is easier than access to great founders to match those billionaires with, which
Correct.
is, at the end of the day, at this level, there is always it's always supply and demand, right? And you have the supply, but we need to find the right demand. Super interesting.
It's
How are
very
you
hard
thinking
to
about?
find.
Yeah, I can imagine. And it's so funny. I was watching an episode, a podcast with an interview of Sam Owens, the founder of School, which allegedly has crossed like the $1 billion valuation. The business, not Sam individually. And he was saying this. He was like, there is so much money. Like, I get outreach from VCs every day, like 10 a day, because great companies to invest in are more scarce than capital to invest it in.
1,000%.
How So obviously it's a challenge. So you don't have the answer, and I'm not expecting you to, Michael, but I'm curious to know your thought process around how you're thinking about solving this challenge. What's the thing that we can do, you can do to find, attract, curate, and select the right companies to present to those people?
Now I offer injecting me a board seat or a chairman seat, or something where I have some control and I could lead, which is also risky too because I'm still not the leader, but at least I have some control. I could help the company. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to solve that problem myself. I run through a serious challenge in my business because there's a lot of bad actors out there. And, but I look at companies, well, you just like you were saying, right? The companies where, if you're a good company, everybody's coming. Like Anthropic, man, I have like 20 different emails from people like, I'll take $100 million block. Like, get me the shares. Like, there's like $2 billion in emails in my like of $100 million blocks, right? They would eat this thing. They would marry Anthropic if they could at this point, and I hope the best for Palmer Luckey. He seems like a pretty good guy, but there's no shortage of that. So Palmer Luckey wouldn't come to me and be like, hey, Michael, I need help, So when you're that good, it's not about money. You don't need the money, right? You need good CTOs, you need, good advisory, you need good business development to make more deals, right? You don't need more money. And so, you get that good, you don't have that challenge. I'm for the guy that's having the challenge, that wants to, increase, his visibility, that wants to have, access to somebody he would never have, right? And that's really my market.
Michael, Matthew, ladies and gentlemen. Michael, if people want to find out more about you, see what you do, reach out so they can get access, where should they go?
You should go to Instagram Powerballer with 3 L's, because somebody swatted my 2L one. So, still a lot of kinks in the Meta platform. Love Zuckerberg, what he's doing, but Instagram's pretty atrocious right now with no customer service and stuff. So there's a lot of tricky things, a lot of people getting their accounts banned, and a lot of stuff going on. And also BlackRidgeCo.com. It'll give you an example of some of the clients we work with and what we do. And you could just Google Michael Matthew Powerballer online. It'll give you a whole bunch of stuff about me and cool stuff, cool pictures, whatever. So
we'll put all the links in the description. Michael, thank you so much for coming on the Principal Podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm pumped. I love the name of the podcast, by the way. The Principal Podcast. It has a nice ring to it. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Michael.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Principal Podcast. We hope you've learned valuable lessons and strategies to grow your firm and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.